Hello, my dear friends. I'm Dr. Jerry Scheidbach. I pastor Lighthouse Baptist Church in Santa Maria, California, and I'm your brain masseur. Get ready for your brain massage. Now, I'm going to offer, under the title, an honest-to-God answer to school shootings. And I mean that. I'm talking about an honest-to-God answer to school shootings. I'm going to present that in about 5 parts. And let's begin with this. I just received a notification that parents here in Santa Maria, my city, are removing their children from Santa Maria High after learning of a post appearing in social media of a student of that school holding a gun captioned with an expletive. And it turns out it was a replica of a BB gun pistol. Nevertheless, authorities are investigating the matter, and I understand my son just told me a little bit ago that they have arrested this young man. And so hopefully he'll get scared straight. It's getting scary out there, folks. All right? And the scary is not coming only from our state here in California, in particular, whose politically correct policies are exposing our children to this grievous danger right now, but also the danger of distorted reaction to this kind of thing. It's scary. No one can blame these parents for being concerned. I'm telling you right now that if my son was in that school, I would pull him out too, until I was confident that things had been taken care of and to secure his safety. But you might remember the brouhaha that followed another travesty of this kind some time back when teachers were freaking out over a kindergartner who scribbled a picture of a gun with crayon or something like that. And when parents were clamoring for a ban to be called against children playing with toy guns. I mean, this business is damaging our social psyche, if you will, giving people what I might call psycho jitters, provoking responses that unhappily play into the hands of the devils that are behind these things. But I get ahead of myself. What's going on with these school shootings? And what is the answer? I mean, what can be done that will effectively address this problem? Now, we keep tearing off the weeds or cutting them down, but leaving the root in the ground. My friend, as long as the root's in the ground, the weeds are going to keep coming back. All right, I want to begin in part 1 here with what happened in Florida on Valentine's Day. What happened? Well, Nicholas Cruz, you know that name, and in particular the spelling of that name, is Slavic. And it means conqueror. It's just interesting. He probably was born of Russian parentage, and was adopted by American parents or something like that. His adoptive father died when he was about 4 years old. His mother died of complications related to the flu, but I don't remember exactly when. I think it was last year. It wasn't too long ago. He was troubled constantly. And my friend, that might in some measure answer the question, why was this kid so troubled in his life? He was clearly not disciplined appropriately at all. For example, some neighbors who were interviewed related an incident. Nicholas was throwing eggs at a neighbor's car. The kids of the family who owned the car chased him away and chased him home. And when the kids knocked on his door to report the incident to his mother, then living, of course, the mother, they said, had a strange reaction. She said, oh, no, my son would never do anything like that. He's in bed sleeping. Now, I served as principal of Baptist Christian schools for, I think it was something like 6 years, and I have met this parent. You know what I mean? The one whose child is never at fault, whenever the child misbehaved, it was always somebody else's fault. You know, everyone else is blamed for the child's misbehavior. Such children are usually wrecked by the time before they reach puberty. In many cases, Nicholas was one of these kids, unfortunately. We know from reports that this kid was mean. And I'm talking about the killing animals for the sheer pleasure of watching them die kind of mean. Yeah. One report says he was diagnosed with autism. No word on whether he was medicated, but they do tend to kind of hide that for some reason until it's forced out of them. You know, like with the Las Vegas shooter. Yeah, you might not even know about this, but the guy was on a mood-controlling drug a psychodrug. Someone posted a notice on YouTube under the name Nicholas Cruz, same spelling as the perpetrator here, that in which he boasted that he intended to become a, quote, professional school shooter, end quote. Now, the FBI was notified. However, they tell us they failed to make any connection between that post and the Nicholas Cruz of now horrifying infamy. And we learned that he was receiving treatment from a mental health facility a while back, but that he had not seen any of his doctors for about a year leading up to the shooting. Nicholas was well known in his neighborhood and among his peers at school and so on for his menacing behavior. And this led to increasing alienation from his peers and schoolmates. He had a girlfriend, but she dumped him because he was abusive to her. She got another boyfriend. Nicholas engaged that boyfriend. They got into a fight, and that led to Nicholas being expelled from his school. So he was going to some kind of adult class or something like that. There's one unconfirmed report that he was a member of a white supremacist group. A white nationalist group. And that's waiting. I'm waiting for confirmation on that. I get stories on both sides of it. There's some reason to be concerned that that group is trying to steal a little fame here for some odd reason, get some notice. I've also read, however, that he was associated with Antifa. So we'll have to wait and see on that. You know how these stories are. The school put out a notice to all personnel that they should watch out for Nicholas. He was banned from coming onto campus, and it was specified with a backpack. So what does that tell you? Obviously, they anticipated some kind of threat from this kid. On Valentine's Day, he shows up on campus carrying a black duffel bag in which he was carrying his AR-15 and wearing a backpack that was filled with loaded magazines. According to one report, someone spotted him, reported it, but before the code red alert could be announced, the shooting had already begun. I understand from yet another report that the school had what the chief of police in that community said or described as, quote, an armed school resource on campus, end quote. But he said, quote, he never encountered Cruz, end quote. Now you got to ask why. Why would somebody who's appointed to be an armed resource on a school campus not have hightailed it in the direction of the repeated gunshots in order to engage that young man? So, that's kind of weird there. There could be some explanation. I'm just fearful that this might be somebody who was something of a novice, not prepared for this kind of actual event, who ran the other way. One report says they suspect that Nicholas pulled the fire alarm to draw students out. You see, that's important to us because if they heard the code red announcement, they heard gunshots, followed immediately by a code red announcement. The protocol would have been to lock the doors, hunker down, get under desks, that kind of thing, and take cover. It would not have been to go out into the hallways or out onto the campus. And yet, all of the reports I'm reading describe the scene as having students running wildly away from the massacre. I mean, they describe confusion and mass hysteria. So the explanation is perhaps he had pulled or, broken the little glass and pulled the fire alarm, and that caused some of the students to come out. Well, why didn't all the students come around? I guess there was some confusion there. Who knows for sure? But anyway, enough of the students were out of their classrooms and into the field of fire so that Nicholas was able to kill 17 young people, including a couple of teachers. One of those teachers was a coach who put himself between the shooter and the students and took, I read in one place, 15 bullets. Wow. Before we can do anything effective about this, we need to understand rightly what happened here. What is this all about? Where is it coming from? All right? We pray, deliver us from evil. And yet this sort of thing comes upon our innocent young people on these school campuses. I'm going to go into this in the next part. In this part, I wanted to simply lay out what it is that happened. We've begun to segue now into an examination of why it happened. And that's something I'm going to explore in some detail in the next part. So contact me at www.brainmassage.net and write me an email. Go to my Facebook page, Lighthouse Baptist Church, Santa Maria, California, or my personal profile there, Jerry Scheidbach, or the Brain Masseur. You'll find me there on Facebook. You can like my page and engage me there. In the next part, I'm going to offer a biblical perspective on what is going on with these school shootings already. God bless you. God save America. And I'll see you in church.